Welcome back. We're at number 17 of the Derech Hashem Shirim, run by Jewish Education Manchester and Kesher. And what did we do last time? What are we going to do now? We were talking about the concept of the soul separation from the body, where it goes, what it does, and what its function is. That's what we're doing now. And last time we talked about, if you're just joining us for this one now, I can't tell you how important it is to roll back to number 16 and to get that. That's like an important 15 minutes of your life to make sure that we understand where we're hitting, because we're going to go straight into the text now of Derech Hashem by Rabbi Mordechai Goodman, which is on page, for anyone that's actually got the book, it's on page 55, bottom of the page, and we're going to do 55 and 57, okay? And we're just going to run through those pages and make sure that what we said last time has context in the actual material that we're learning together. So I'm happy to do that now. Again, if you can get a copy of the text either physically in front of you or from an online version, it really, really helps, because that's what we're going to be going through here. But if not, don't worry about it. You can still get the material. So we now need to talk about the soul's elevation while apart from the body. That's going to be what we discussed. We discussed why that must be in the timeline of the world, Olam Hazeh, this world, the soul world, and Olam Haba, the world to come, and the differences between them, and the fact that we've got to come back resurrected for Olam Haba. We have to, as a Jewish concept of thought, it's got to happen. Listen to the last one. Here we go. Dive in with me. Page 55, which is section 1, chapter 3, point 12. Besides being a place for the soul to await resurrection, the soul world also provides another benefit as well for the soul, and ultimately for the resurrected body as well, when the soul goes back into it. Because of Adam's sin, it was decreed that man could not attain perfection directly, but only after death. We said that last time, that man really wasn't meant to die, and there was like an apoptotic genetic imprint. That's God had to change the genetics of humans that they would die. And we have to have that now. He brought evil into himself. Even though his deeds may be such to have made him worthy of perfection while he was alive. He was burning that LED bulb inside that upside down flower pot last time. It's an analogy from last time. Really, really well. But what can he do? He's working with a flower pot, not a crystal chandelier. That's the idea of Or with an Aleph, light, versus Or with an Ayin, leather or skin. Okay, we did that last time. Without life in this world, man can never attain perfection at all, since the only time allotted for earning perfection is in this world before death. We discussed that to do with justification. You've got to feel as if you've earned your place. So you actually have to go through it. You have to do the work to get there. And then once you get there, you won't feel the least bit bad that you're getting paid a wage because you worked for it. That's good because you feel comfortable with it. When God gives you what he wants to give you, you have to feel comfortable, because if you didn't, it's not a perfect giving. And if it's not a perfect giving, he's failing. So it's got to work like this. As a result of this decree that we have to die and body and soul have to be separated for a limited period of time so that both you get restored to be put back together again, so they can get that reward, body and soul together, which is vital. The body must remain immersed in evil in this world and can never completely disassociate itself from it, which Adam could have done prior to his first sin, but he decided not to go down that route. The soul, which is associated with the body, is therefore darkened and dimmed. It's affected by its time with the body now, and it's got to work with that. Through the good deeds that one has done, the soul might have earned in and of itself perfection and excellence, but this simply cannot be expressed in this manner in Olam Hazeh, because there's evil in the world. And evil, remember, is defined as distance from God. Good is defined as closeness to God. That's how we define these things. Something is good because it is rooted to the ultimate good. Something is evil because it is miscalibrated, misaligned, distanced from that ultimate good. The more evil something is said to be, the more distance it is from God. Be it an act, a deed, a thought, whatever it would be. Through the good deeds one has done, the soul might have earned in of itself perfection and excellence, but it cannot be expressed. The soul cannot, quote-unquote, shine with radiance appropriate to the excellence that it actually attains. It gets energy when it does good deeds. But it remains concealed in the soul's essence until the time comes for it to be revealed in Olam Haba. The reason it remains concealed is because now we're dealing with an upside-down turned clay pot that we talked about last time. The body is a very opaque, leathery, dark, coarse vehicle now because the body underwent change after Adam sinned. The soul, however, bears no blame whatsoever for this. It's only the nature of the body, its opaqueness, that prevents its full expression. The body, however, also suffers a great loss because of this, since during man's physical lifetime, it cannot be appropriately purified by the soul. Why is he saying this? This is what we're going to do now. The role of a soul is to elevate a physical body. That's its job. That's why it was created. A soul's job is to elevate a physical body. Okay? A body's job is to be elevated by a spiritual soul. That's the partnership. That means we've got a mammalian, simian, primate body, which is animal. It's an animal body. Like, it's a well-developed animal body, which is specifically designed for purpose to be in touch with a spiritual concept, which animals are not. They're not designed for that. In order that the body could be used to do tasks on the soul's behalf during its lifetime. If the soul gets to use the body, much like the astronaut analogy that Rabbi Zevlev gave, that I gave over earlier, you've got to get in a suit to be involved in this world. If you want to live in a physical world in physical dimensions, you better have a physical dimensioned body that can interact with physical items in the world. Because that's the path to spirituality. It's only through physicality. Did that last time as well. So if I've got to do that, I've got to be involved with a mammalian body. What should I do? I should get that body to do things on the soul's behalf so that the body can be correctly utilized by the soul. If that happens, the body is elevated. It's not just merely an animal. It's a sheath, a body, a capsule, a suit, a utility, a tool for the soul to be able to fulfill ideas that God wants it to do, thereby earning reward and closeness to God, because it actually had to overcome something to do that, laziness, tiredness, whatever it would be, and it's done the job. The body is elevated because it got used for a good purpose. Now, the soul is also elevated, because if the soul's job is to elevate a body, when it does that, it's fulfilling its function. And once you're fulfilling your function, you're doing good. Everything only feels satisfied once it fulfills its function. You can look all over the world to try to, I don't know, scuba diving, whatever it's going to be, paragliding, rock climbing, that whatever your function is what will make you feel fulfilled. If it's not really your function, then you aren't going to get fulfilled by it. Now, a Jew's first function is to fulfill the mitzvahs. Everything else is secondary. However you do that, that's great. You've got to do it. There's lots of things for you to do. But the key part of what you've got to do is mitzvah fulfillment. Mitzvah fulfillment means you've utilized your body in the best way that you have been able to, because it's been prescribed by God. You don't get to vote on what's a mitzvah. It's not a democracy. If God said, I want you to, take a certain amount of challah as a dough tithe from a batch of dough that you're making, you've got to do it. You don't get to vote. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's clever. Nobody asked you. It doesn't matter what you think is clever or not. It doesn't matter how clever you think it is or not. As Jews, we said, Na'aseh v'nishma. We'll do and we'll comprehend. But comprehension is no prerequisite for compliance. This is how you elevate a body. Get it done. Get the job done. Okay, b'vakasha. What happens if it doesn't work? What happens if the body says, I'm not doing that? It's stupid. I couldn't be bothered. It doesn't suit my lifestyle. I'm not interested. Okay, we've got two problems here. One is the soul, whose job it is to elevate a body by getting it to do things on its particular task, doesn't get it done, which means the soul loses out because it didn't get it was the motor inside the chassis of the car, and it just didn't get the chassis anywhere. It didn't get it to where it needed to be. That's number one. Two is the body loses out because if it didn't get used for the higher purpose, what the soul wanted it to do, it didn't fulfill its function either. It was no different to an animal. Both lose. It's a win-win, lose-lose. There's no win, lose, lose, win in this, right? It's just win, win, lose, lose on that. Either you did get the soul and the body to do something together, or you didn't. We're going to see it inside. During man's physical lifetime, the soul is imprisoned and cannot spread out its radiance. It furthermore cannot perform its proper task, which is the purification of the body. I would highlight the words its, skip the word proper, task, skip the word which, and highlight is the purification of the body. Its task is the purification of the body. The soul's task is to uplift, purify, elevate a body by getting the body to do things which are prescribed by God to do with that body at that time in that way. Depending upon who you are and what generation you are, where you live, whether or not you live at the time of Joshua, whether you live in a walled city at the time of Joshua, whether there's a base of Migdash, whether there's a temple, excellent or not, changes everything tremendously, or what generation you're in, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're a Levi, whether you're a Cohen, whether you're a firstborn, all of those things all change depending upon who you are, genetically, generationally, but based upon who you are at that time, there's certain things you've got to get done. If the soul were able to do this, to purify the body, it would perfect itself through this very act. In purifying the body, the soul would resemble its creator in doing good and bestowing perfection on another, and that would enhance the soul. That's a beautiful idea. I've got an engine, the soul, to get the body to go around doing stuff, right? That's its job. But there's a double whammy. Let's say this soul gets it done and says, okay, I've got to get you to put on phylacteries to fill in, right? Or I've got to get you to go and eat this food at this particular time, right? Because that's the job. Okay, so I ate matzah on Pesach, let's say, right? So the soul's like, yes, we did it. I got the body to be enlightened and purified and uplifted by getting it to do these tasks at a particular time in a particular way, according to the legal requirements of that particular time and place. And we've done it. We've locked it in, which means we've locked in a reward from God. This is what God wants. We're done. God wanted to bestow his good to another, right? That was the whole purpose of creation. If the soul gets to bestow good on another, the body, then the soul also mimics God himself by bestowing of its good, a higher spiritual supernal good, upon essentially an ape, the body. That's a double whammy. That's a double enhancement for the soul. One is it gets a job done and it's rightly paid for that. And two is it starts actually emulating God himself by bestowing his good to another, which gives it another boost, another discipline, another ability to be able to understand God better as well, which of course greatly enhances the reward that it will get. Okay, next paragraph. The soul was furthermore created for the very purpose of purifying the body. I'd highlight that. I'd skip maybe with the word furthermore and very. I'd highlight the soul was created for the purpose of purifying the body. So what have we got on the highlights so far? Its task is the purification of the body. The soul was created for the purpose of purifying the body. It's great. And therefore, in doing so, it would be fulfilling its purpose. This in turn would further enhance the soul, since everything is perfected by doing what was ordained for it by God. If God ordained a particular creature that does a particular task, that's what it should do to fulfill its task. Zebra have to do their task of fulfilling what herds of zebra must on the plains. An octopus has to do its task to survive and make more octopi in the way that it must do that. That's its task. There's a reason for that. God's got a whole system, a biosphere of how all the environment works together as a team to make a functioning world. So it doesn't. You can imagine the lions go, no, we've gone vegetarian today. We think it's right to have a plant-based meal. Mate, we should go vegan. Yeah, but your cats, you can't. You need. But no, it's immoral and unethical to do. Is it? Well, you were designed for purpose. We need you to hunt the zebra. There's a reason you're going to check off the weak zebra. We want to keep the herd strong. You've got to cull them. That's your job, and you get to eat them. There's a reason for this. It's not as if humans are more moral by taking on a vegan diet. That's not. You've got to do the right thing. You've got to utilise physicality the way it's prescribed. Everything is perfected by doing what was ordained for it by God. On the other hand, every entity loses perfection as long as it's not fulfilling its purpose. A machine which is trying to make sausages just doesn't make sausages. It's a liability. It's a liability. It's taking up space. It could break. It catch fire. I don't know. Unless it's making sausages which are profitable, it's not worth having such a machine. And therefore, the soul loses a great deal of power during man's lifetime. It literally diminishes. It gets decharged. A lot of energy is expended by the soul trying to get the body to do the right thing at the right time. When the soul leaves the body and enters the soul world, however, it can then radiate freely with a brightness that befits it as a result of its good deeds. It doesn't need to be encaged like a tiger in a cage of a body. It's like, oh, Finally, I can unwind a bit. Now, it can't get anything done. It can't do any more work of getting a body, which is its job, to get a body to do things. But finally, it doesn't have to be hampered by being associated with an ape, which is extremely bizarre for such a lofty spiritual creature. Through both this, the fact that it's free of the body, and what it can attain in the souled world, which is spiritual and therefore on its par, the soul is able to regain the power that it lost, i.e. recharge, while associated with the body. It needs to be re-energized. So you're taking out that LED bulb from inside the pot, cleaning it up. It's the part of that's the cleansing process. Then you completely recharge it. This in turn makes it, the soul, more qualified for highlight its ultimate function after the resurrection, namely the purification of the body. The function of the soul is to purify a body. It can't do so properly here. It will only be able to do so when it's fully recharged in a beautiful chandelier once the chrysalis emerges from there, a butterfly. We ain't there yet. We're at the caterpillar stage, as we discussed last time, right? So that's the function of the body. The body is there to be elevated by a soul. The soul is there to be elevated by a body. And if it does well on a number of levels. It gets the body to do stuff. It gets to resemble the creator. It gets to fulfill its overall function. It's going to need to be separated to be recharged, etc. Yeah, but basically it's only being separated to be reconditioned so that it's reconnected with the body so that the proper justificational reward that God wants to give of himself to another can be realised, which is only body and soul together. Wow, we've done an amazing amount. We've got to section 1, chapter 3. We finished point 12. We're about to do point 13, which is while the soul is associated with the body, the soul's ability to purify the body is limited because it's essentially trapped in a mammalian structure. There's only so much it can do. But what it can do, it is expected to do. And we'll do that next time and finish the whole chapter. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Hope you have a wonderful week. Any questions, send them in. There's an anonymous Google Doc that you can send in any questions. I look forward to seeing you then. All the best. Bye.